A month ago, my sister gave birth to her second child. While she was trying to recover and adjust to having a newborn, she asked my wife and me if we could stay at their house for 3 weeks to help with the kids and household chores. I work from home and my wife doesn't currently work. Honestly, I was very reluctant to agree. I was already going through an extremely stressful period at work, and my wife and I had recently decided to pause trying for a baby after going through 3 failed attempts last year. But my sister seemed completely overwhelmed. On top of that, she was about to travel out of town for a BTS concert and said she needed someone to help with the children while she was away. Both she and her husband were already on parental leave for the next few months, so I thought helping them was the right thing to do. The problems actually started before we even arrived. My sister constantly texted me complaining about our parents and her mother-in-law, who had stayed there before us because they apparently hadn't helped enough around the house. She kept saying that she and her husband were always having to pick up the slack and that they never got any rest because of it. I reassured her that we would do everything we could to help, but the nightmare truly began the moment we arrived. First of all, I assumed they would pick us up from the airport, but they didn't. They paid for our plane tickets, but we had to cover the $50 Uber ride from the airport to their house ourselves. Then, when we arrived, we were told that we needed to buy our own groceries because my sister was preparing special meals to support her milk production and didn't want us eating that food. Fine, we didn't argue about it. So every day, we started cooking our own meals. But then she seemed annoyed by that too. Later, I found out that she expected us to ask if she or her husband needed anything before we started doing our own thing. Since we had to buy our own groceries, the refrigerator became crowded, and she constantly complained about how full it was, even though almost all of the food inside belonged to them. Despite that, my wife and I did all the household chores every single day. We cleaned, organized the house, washed dishes, and made sure everything looked spotless every night. We also spent most of the day taking care of their 4-year-old child. But no matter what we did, my sister was never satisfied. She constantly corrected us. She told us how we should talk to her child, how we should behave, and even how we should react in certain situations. When the child hit us or said incredibly rude things, she told us not to discipline him because he just wanted his mom. Then things got even worse. At one point, the child falsely claimed that my wife punched him. That never happened. My wife would never do something like that. But despite it being completely untrue, my sister still confronted us about it. That was the moment I realized that no matter how much we tried to help, she simply didn't trust us. Eventually, my sister told us that our presence was creating more stress for them than relief, and said it would be okay if we wanted to leave early. Honestly, by that point, we already felt less like family helping out and more like unpaid servants. So after 2 weeks, we decided to leave 1 week earlier than planned. But the story didn't end there. After we got home, my sister started sending me long messages attacking my wife. She said my wife wasn't good enough for me because, according to her, she couldn't properly handle household chores, needed too many breaks during childcare, and wasn't capable of taking care of children. She even implied that the fact her 4-year-old didn't like my wife meant there was something seriously wrong with her. That was the point where I finally snapped. I told her that her expectations for free help were completely unreasonable. I explained that she expected everything to be done exactly her way, constantly criticized everyone around her, and had made the entire situation unbearable. I also told her that I didn't need her opinion on my marriage. But according to her, I was twisting everything. She accused me of acting like the victim, making everything about myself, and never truly being there for her. Then she sent me another message that was even worse. The message was full of insults. She completely attacked my character. She said my life was full of drama, and that I only brought toxicity into everyone else's life. I'm pretty sure she was referring to the difficult fertility journey my wife and I had gone through because she implied that we hadn't been as available lately because of our own problems. Reading that message honestly crushed me, because the truth is, I had been there for nearly every important moment in her life. I helped after her first child was born, and I literally put my own life on pause to help after her second child was born too. Whenever she was stressed, angry, overwhelmed, or upset, I was the person who listened to her for hours. And yet she still claimed that I had never truly been there for her. What hurt even more was that she blamed me for finally trying to set boundaries. When I told her that my kindness and help had been taken for granted, she somehow twisted that into me, making everything about myself. She also claimed that she had always been there for me during my struggles. But the reality is, I never fully opened up to her because I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of feeling like a burden. So I kept most of my struggles to myself and never really asked her for help. At the end of her message, she said she wasn't trying to kick us out and that asking us to leave early was simply what was best for everyone. She also said that she would always trust her child over anyone else. I couldn't even bring myself to read the message myself at first. It was so horrible that I asked my wife to read it before I did because I genuinely didn't think I could handle it alone. And after that day, I made a decision. I'm going no contact with my sister for as long as possible.
What stands out most in this story is how a situation that began with the intention of helping slowly turned into emotional exhaustion and mutual distrust. In parents who have just had a newborn, intense stress, sleep deprivation, emotional overwhelm, and a strong need for control are all very common. Your sister was most likely physically and mentally exhausted, which may have caused her to become overly critical and dissatisfied with everyone around her. However, going through a difficult period does not justify constantly blaming or emotionally devaluing the people trying to help. On your side, there seems to be a pattern of being the helper who struggles to set boundaries. The fact that you agreed, even though you didn't truly want to, is very important. Sometimes people ignore their own emotional limits because they feel guilty or believe they should help in order to be a good person. Over time, that can turn into silent resentment and emotional burnout. Having your wife targeted and your efforts constantly minimized understandably created a deep sense of disappointment and hurt. One of the biggest psychological issues in this situation is that the help became heavily controlled. You were asked to support them, but at the same time, everything had to be done exactly the way your sister wanted. At that point, the dynamic stopped feeling like family support and started becoming a power and control struggle. Constant correction, criticism, and feeling like nothing you do is good enough can slowly make someone feel emotionally inadequate and unappreciated. Another major concern is the language used during the conflict. Statements like, "Your life is full of drama," or "You bring toxicity into everyone's life," show that the disagreement shifted away from problem solving and turned into a personal attack on your character. In healthy communication, people criticize behaviors or situations, not someone's entire identity. These kinds of statements are often connected to built-up resentment, emotional dysregulation, or unresolved anger. At this point, creating distance from the relationship honestly seems psychologically healthy for you. In emotionally intense relationships, filled with blame, guilt, and boundary violations, temporary distance can help someone regain emotional clarity and stability. Especially considering that you were already going through a stressful and emotionally sensitive chapter in your own life. Constantly being placed in the role of the problem could become emotionally damaging over time. Overall, this story does not necessarily sound like pure bad intentions from either side. It sounds more like two emotionally exhausted parties, with one person expressing that stress through control, criticism, and emotional aggression. But when help is no longer appreciated and someone constantly feels forced to defend themselves, the relationship can quickly become emotionally unhealthy and deeply draining.